This week I had an opportunity to have a closed-door but hands-off preview of The Sims 4, and during that time I had a wonderful opportunity to ask a lot of one-on-one questions directly to Maxis. I started my preview experience with getting a look at the new Build-A-Sim feature. I was surprised by how dynamic and user-friendly everything could be. Just point, click, and drag just about every feature on a face or body to shape it to the user's desires. In the Build-A-Sim, there's only 2 sliders, overall weight and muscle definition. I've never been afraid of sliders before, but this ability to sculpt exactly what people want is going to result in a lot of interesting Sims neighborhoods as players create homes of their friends, families, or even favorite television, movie, and video game characters. And it'll be even more interesting as people share them with the world in the gallery. The gallery is going to be Sims 4 version of the Exchange, where players can create and upload their own Sims or their own architectural designs, and then upload them to a server. Then when somebody's playing The Sims, as long as they're connected to the internet, they can then open up the gallery and then download instantly anything from the gallery and insert it into their game. One of the more interesting features that I was shown about the new Build-A-Sim was the genetic system in the game. Now children will automatically look like their parents, morphing in traits like eyes and noses into the next generation of Sims. The new build mode in The Sims 4 looks like it's going to be a massive improvement over past Sims games. The demonstrator, while we were there, managed to drop in entire rooms fully furnished into and out of a house that he designed. A gigantic house that I want to mention that was completely filled to the gills with knickknacks and doodads, and Sims that were interacting with one another. Since there were so many Sims in the building, I had asked the question, is the old error going to be coming back of object in use? And you gotta wait for your Sim to stop using a television or to stop sitting on a couch if you wanted to pick up that object and move it somewhere else. And the demonstrator actually showed me that, no, you don't need to wait anymore. If a Sim is sitting on a couch, you can just pick up that couch and either put it into your inventory or move it anywhere else. That same mentality was shown everywhere else in the game. Multiple Sims would be walking up the stairs at the same time. Multiple televisions or multiple paintings could be put on the same wall at the same time and done with ease at various heights. So the build mode looks fantastic. Stretching and pulling room sizes is not something new for The Sims. However, what Sims 4 is doing is making it absolutely easier than it has ever been before. I had asked the demonstrator what happens to objects that are in the room if you shrink the room too far, or what happens to the objects that are on the wall, or doors, or windows. What happens to those if you shrink it too small? And I was happy to hear that those objects then just automatically get placed into the user's inventory, and they're not gone, they're not deleted, but the game intelligently just puts them away for the player. One of the best new features to the build mode, and something that I wish was in past Sims games, is a new search tool. So now if you wanted to find an object, instead of digging through submenus about decor or office space or tools, you can just type in what you're looking for. So if you wanted a sink, you could type in sink. If you wanted an easel, you just could type in easel and it would pop up, as long as you knew how to properly spell easel. However, the objects still exist in their subcategories, so if you wanted to find them the classic way through subcategories, you certainly can do that in the buy mode. So the search tool is going to be a big improvement over past Sims games. Socialization seems like the biggest focus and improvement that Maxis is trying to make within Sims 4. Now, Sims will actually talk in a group instead of one person talking and then a group of people listening. It is a multi-way conversation, and if a Sim were to get up and leave a conversation, the rest of the Sims don't stop and awkwardly robotically reposition themselves. Now if a Sim gets up and leaves a conversation and, say, someone is sitting on the couch, that person on the couch will then scooch closer to the remaining Sims in the conversation to kind of listen a little bit better. So it's things like this that are looking to be a bigger improvement over past Sims games, cutting down on robotic movements of the Sims themselves and trying to make it a more natural looking experience. We talked a little bit about modding, and Maxis seems like they're very aware and appreciative of what the modding community does for The Sims 4. I had asked if they were going to be adding any modding tools to The Sims 4. Unfortunately, they're not. However, they're not going to discourage anyone from modding the game already. In fact, since the Build a Sims feature is already out there, we were talking quite a bit about how impressed they were that modders were already modding just the Build a Sims tool, so keep modding, everybody. We talked a fair amount about stability and the importance of stability in Sims 4, and while we were chatting, he had mentioned that the game was running currently, what I was seeing was at 1080p and 60 frames per second, and he said that that was their goal, to at least always be running at 1080p and 60 frames per second as often as possible. And while we were chatting, he was adding in rooms, knocking down walls, adding in objects, adding Sims, changing Sims moods. He was creating parties, creating conversations, removing people from conversations, creating arguments. And when we were all said and done, he just Control-Z'd out of all of it. So he made about 10 to 15 sweeping changes and then just Control-Z'd back through all of it. And I noticed that the game ran without a hiccup, so I was very impressed with what I saw while I was there in terms of stability. Obviously, Sims 4 is not a graphics powerhouse, but what I saw was still pretty impressive. Seeing it in person was much nicer than seeing it through a live stream or YouTube or any other medium that I've been seeing Sims 4 stuff come through. The stylized appearance looks really good, very, very good, and I think that past fans of the series are going to enjoy it, and hopefully this new style is going to be finding some new fans for them as well. While we were talking about stability, I mentioned the importance of The Sims 4 being able to be played for a long period of time, because when people play Sims games, they don't play for just an hour or two and then they're done with the game. Fans get involved with their Sims and they'll play their game for tens or hundreds of hours. And I had asked because The Sims 3 had a stuttering issue. The longer you played the game, the worse the stuttering problem would become. I was told that the latest stress test that they had been running in the office was a version of the game that had been running for 3 weeks straight. So the build that they were using was a month old, but it was running for 3 weeks straight on somebody's computer in the office. So their Sims were alive and running for 3 weeks, not just playing during the day and then shutting down at night and going back home, but 3 full weeks, which, if is true, it's a very promising sign for what Sims 4 can be. We talked about Sims 4 deaths, because with every new Sims game and Sims expansion comes new ways for your Sims to die. And the new way for Sims to die in The Sims 4 is an emotional death. Your Sim could die of embarrassment, or they could rage themselves to death, or any of their emotions that they have, they could do it to the extreme and die. I was told, immediately after learning this, that is a extreme circumstance. Sort of like in past games, like Sims 3, you could literally have your Sim woohoo to death. So dying of laughter or dying of embarrassment can happen, but most likely won't. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any new information about any future possible Sims 4 DLCs, and I was also told that supernatural Sims will not be appearing in this core game. My final impression with what I've seen is that Maxis is aiming to launch their most refined Sims yet. Though some of the features have been noticeably cut back, like swimming pools, I was told that Sims 4 is launching with the most content that Maxis has ever put into one of their core Sims products. Whether that means there's more digital furniture and clothes to buy in the game, or if that means there's more things to do, is yet to be seen. Designing and building look like they've never been easier or more intuitive, and if the game is as stable and retains that stability as what I've seen, then it might make it easier for Maxis to build on that foundation with their inevitable DLC that'll be coming down the line. I'd be kidding myself if I didn't say that this preview got me pretty excited for the game, but I haven't had a chance to get my hands on with the game and start it from scratch, so therefore I have no real way of gauging the gameplay itself, if that will be worthwhile outside of the game's architectural and design brilliance. For that, everyone, myself included, is going to have to wait for the full release to find out. And of course, at that time, I'll be sure to do a video review.